Considered when you spend your money at these mega corporations where it's going? Are you aware that your hard-earned money is being used to support political corruption, which leads to poor federal leadership, hurting our economy, contributing to the overall detriment of our society? This is heavy stuff to think about, I know, but it's time we fought back. Introducing Professor Toto's The Patriots Buying Club. Here, we are a club that gives you the power to invest in companies that uphold patriotic and conservative values your family can respect. Rather than spending your money with these major corporations, we've partnered with a direct consumer company that offers over 400 high-quality, sustainable, and effective products that can be delivered fast, directly to your front door. So many patriots across America has joined us in this walkaway movement. Now it's your turn. Go to www.buybuywalmart.com to join Professor Toto's The Patriots Buying Club today.
And we will make America great again. Thank you, Arizona. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
In the far distant land of common sense, a place where we all once lived, you'll find the Conservative College with Professor Toto. It is here where the foundational principles of our great republic are still taught and true patriots are still educated in the hallowed halls of this school of hope. Just like the iconic puppy from The Wizard of Oz, who found great joy in pulling back the curtain on the lies of the wizard, so does Professor Toto. Grab your seats and welcome to the Conservative College. Class begins now.
Hello, everybody. Well, I don't have my bell tonight, so I thought I'd clap for you, try to wake you up for those that are falling asleep tonight. Good evening. This is Professor Toto, and you have arrived, literally, at the greatest place on planet Earth and throughout the whole animal web. Wherever you can find truth, you've found it. So much truth that we have have a much smaller audience tonight because YouTube has banned me again. Can you believe that? They did not like whenever I showed you guys that study from England last Thursday night, or Tuesday night, sorry. I've not been with y'all since last Tuesday night. Wow. Thanksgiving was wonderful, by the way. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. So anyway, I'm not in my studio tonight, and I don't like not being in my studio because my audio's messed up. Okay, that's why I don't like being in my studio or not being in my studio. Yeah, so, all right, they're saying the audio's really messed up. That's why I almost didn't go live tonight. It sounds fuzzy. Let's see. Sounds fuzzy, fuzzy, fuzzy. All right. Sounds fuzzy. Let's see. I wonder what we can do. I wonder what we can do. I wonder what we can do to make it sound better. Eileen Kushan, I hope you are doing well after your surgery today. Hello, April Rickman. Oh, there's a static. Okay, that's why I almost didn't go live tonight because I hate doing it in a hotel room. Let me see if I can do anything to fix this. Let me try something else. Hold on. What about that? Is that, let's see. Turn down the mic gain. That's the problem. I have no way, not being in my studio, to fix the audio. Stephanie said that's better. Yeah? Are we gooder? Are we gooder? Much better? Yay! Well, I'm handicapped tonight. Thank you, Diana and Dale and Doreen and Carolyn, Teresa Geschwinder. Hello, Dale Miller and Diane and Elizabeth and Paige. Hello, April Rickman, Alan Trost. And Nancy DeWitt says we are gooder. All right, Brother Dale Mudgett, good evening. Mama Dot, amen. Prayer always works because I thought to do something that I wouldn't have normally thought to do. So, all right, well, praise the Lord. Folks, it is cold where I am right now. That's why I've got my jacket on. It's cold. It is, baby, it's cold outside. It's like 19 or 20 degrees. I'm ready to be back in Mississippi where it's 45 degrees. Oh, man, I'm a long way from home in the great state of Indiana. Thank you, Charlie Gann. So good to see all of you tonight. Eileen Kushan, a lot of people in the church have been asking how your surgery went today. We pray that you are doing well. But anyway, I'm not getting out of my hotel room. It is too cold. Carolyn said it's 16 degrees in Ohio. Wow. Oh, I'm so ready to go home. Oh, man. I'll come up here in the summertime when it's hot back home. Thank you, Eileen, for letting me know. I've been praying for you today, and so has our church. Wow. Well, we're back. It's been a whole week. Tonight is 7 days. Thank you. My sweetheart is watching me tonight. Mwah. Mwah. I miss you. I love my little wife. Miss her. She's not with me, sadly. But trust me, she'll be glad. She hates cold weather. Hates it. Renee, I'm happy to see you tonight. So happy to see you. We got a lot to talk about tonight, a whole lot. And I'm going to get right into it. but I do want to say we've had 3 great classes here in Indiana on gold and silver. And guys, let me tell you, if you knew what we knew, what's about to come with bricks, you would be getting gold and silver stacked up. So anyway, great classes up here. It's been a wonderful time, and got one more to go, and then I can go home. Then I'll be in Pennsylvania, December the 4th. If you're watching and you're in Pennsylvania or there, in driving distance, I would love to see you at our event on December the 4th. There is the address and the information. Please come see us. We would love to see you there. And then we're December something another, the 17th, I'll be in Lee Summit, Missouri. So y'all grab those addresses, make your plans now. Tonight's monologue, Trump will destroy America's two-party system forever. I'm going to educate you tonight on that subject. Really important. Let's go over to the chalkboard real quick. Let's see what's on tonight's agenda. Number 1, Clemson football. We got to talk about Clemson football, y'all. We got to talk about Newt Gingrich and MAGA Mike Johnson. Then we've got to talk about some amazing abortion news. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the left is defending Donald Trump. It's going to blow your mind. The Koch brothers are back. Well, one of them's dead. The other one's back. Yep, the Koch brothers are back. We've had another 14th Amendment victory. Oh, yes, we have. And then I want to talk about Hamas tonight in Israel. And then finally, we will talk about Donald Trump destroying America's two-party system forever. Y'all, this reminds me of the old days when y'all remember when I started, I was in a hotel every night somewhere. And that's back when I was having to work out of town all the time. So this sort of feels like that, brings back those old memories. Old memories come now and then. Old memories remind me of when everything was wonderful. Everything was grand. I love those old memories now and then. All right, let's get to work tonight. I want to show y'all something. How many of you have been watching the news and you have heard that Donald Trump went to Clemson football stadium and he got booed? Has anybody heard that? That's all you've heard. He got booed. They booed him down when he got there. That is a lie, ladies and gentlemen. That is a lie from the pits of hell. Don't believe those people. Why? Because here is the truth.
Trump took the field to a tremendous applause at the Clemson versus University of South Carolina football game there at the University of South Carolina last night. Mind you, that's Nikki Haley's home state we're talking about. It's also her alma mater that was the visiting team, eventually the victorious team. What I found interesting about this is if you go on X, there are posts and videos that say, oh, the president was getting booed, and oh, the president got huge cheers. Some people are accusing the boo tweets of basically being fabricated. They were booing the visiting team. Either way, we all saw him at UFC here in New York. He's still got a huge fan base in a lot of blue-collar areas around this country.
So there was some booing, but it was for the opposing team that was coming in. That the left hates Donald Trump so much that they have to fabricate news about Trump. And so he had a tremendous, I'm telling you guys, I know of no other politician in the world that would have had the temerity, the chutzpah, the whatever you want to call it, to go onto that football field. And yet, unlike any politician I've ever seen, owned the stadium in Nikki Haley's backyard. So we're getting ready for the return of Donald Trump. We've been talking about it now for going on 4 years. And here we are. We made it. We have come to the point now where Iowa, next month, Iowa will cast their first votes to bring Donald Trump back to the White House. It is a great season this next year. It's going to be a year of ups and downs. But I want to warn you, it's going to be a year of anger like you have never. If you thought 2020 was something, YouTube has already banned me already. For 1 week, I got my first strike on that channel. You can tell it's time. It's time now for the heat to be turned back up. You're going to begin to feel that heat very soon. And there's a reason. Because Donald Trump, it no longer represents right and left. We're now dealing with crazy and normal. That's where we are. We are now, Donald Trump represents a world order that globalism despises. And who controls globalism? We know who controls it. No, it's not George Soros. No, it's not Vanguard. There is a spirit that uses those people to control the world. That spirit is Satan himself and all of his fallen angels that do not have bodies that can now manifest among humanity. So they must use whatever weak mind they can find. This is why it's so very important to gird yourself with truth, because anything that can be shaken in the next year will be shaken. They've tried so hard to shake you by convincing you that Donald Trump is unelectable. And they convinced many people of that. However, Yahweh has an army that will not be convinced. We are on a solid ground. We have a prophetic word that we know must come to pass. We have scriptures where we know what God is doing with Donald Trump. So I want to encourage everyone watching me tonight, gird your mind with truth. Watch the Toto show. Why? We will gird your mind every Tuesday and Thursday night with truth, just like the Clemson football game. If you would have believed the lies, you would be like, oh, Trump's losing his support. They want you to believe that. They need you to believe that. But the total opposite is true. The entire stadium went sporadically crazy when he walked onto the field. You must know the truth. If you're going to survive the next 12 months, 11 months, you must gird your mind with the truth, because these demon powers will do everything they can. For 3 years, I've stood here with you and I told you what would happen. For 3 years, I've told you so. Oh, I've told you so. I've talked you through it. I've walked you through it. I said the 14th Amendment would come to nothing. On and on and on. You know why? Because I know the truth. And the truth makes us free. I want to plead with you tonight. Discard the lies. Quit listening to your neighbors. Listen to truth. Listen to Toto. Listen to truth. Why? Because that's the only way you're going to keep your sanity over the next 12 months. You're going to see these demon powers begin to unleash like you didn't see even in 2020. Why? They know that if Donald Trump returns to the White House, that their world order, their global dreams will come to a stop. Why? Because we are in such a unique position right now to literally get a 5 to 6 seat win in the Senate. If we get the presidency and the Senate, they know that their agenda is dead in the water. They also know that whoever follows Trump, whoever his protege is, and so sadly, that could have been Ron DeSantis. What a tragic story that man is. Whoever follows Trump will carry that MAGA message and that MAGA mantle, and then Trump will control that presidency for another 4 or 8 years. So that would give Trump 12 plus 4, 16 years in the White House, if you will. So know the truth, and the truth will make you free. But I'm not the only one sounding the alarm about these demon powers. No, I'm not the only one. Listen to this story as Newt Gingrich tells about a moderate conservative Republican and his response to Donald Trump's imminent return.
Last week, I was in a meeting with a formerly moderate Republican, very sophisticated, very nice guy, somebody I like personally. And as we talked about Trump, he became so totally demonically convinced that this is the end of his world. I mean, the language, I couldn't argue with him because the language was so emotional. It was like dealing with a person who was literally beyond self-control.
Did you hear that? He said it was a demonic, beyond self-control. When Trump, talking about a Republican, a uniparty member, literally lost it. He lost all self-control over Donald Trump. Listen to me carefully, all you patriots. Listen to me. You are now public enemy number one for the next year. I believe that God will send angels to protect his people. You are going to see these demonic, out of control. I give you an example. The other night, I forget the exact day now, when I was flying to Indiana, I went into the airport in New Orleans, and I come to the Delta counter to drop off my bags, and the next person that had a vacancy called me up. Well, when I saw this person, I knew immediately that it was a man that likes to dress up like a woman. He likes to wear lipstick and high heels and pantyhose and rings in his nose, whatever. So I saw I had a man that likes to play dress up. And so, of course, I'm never rude to anyone. You do what you want to do. I could care less about your private life. You do what you want to do. You and I will never have a problem. You do you, let me do me. But when I walked up to the counter, I was very nice. And this creature said, do you have your ID? And I said, yes, sir, I sure do. I'm from the South. We still say yes, sir, yes, ma'am. That's what's wrong with most of your children. You didn't teach them to do that. Anyway, so I said, yes, sir. When I said, yes, sir, it was like the airport stood still. It was as if time stood still. I'm pulling out my ID while I say it, being a good citizen, doing what I'm told to do. And I pull the ID. I forgot I've even said, yes, sir. It don't even register with me. It's sort of natural for me to call a man, yes, sir. And so I'm pulling it out, and I go to hand it to the person at the counter, and the look that he would not take my ID. I'm holding it in my hand just like that, and I look at him, and he's looking at me like, I said, is there a problem? He said, seriously? I said these exact words. Something came over me. And I said, yes, sir. I take truth very seriously. And I say what I see, not what you dream. And literally, you could see demonic power come. If that man could have killed me right then, he would have killed me. Just because I said, I say what I see. And literally, I'm still holding my ID in my hand, literally. And finally, He reached over, jerks it. I have never gotten my boarding pass as quickly as I did. He did not even weigh my suitcase. So, you know, brothers and sisters, if you're armed with truth, you're going to be hated. Prepare yourself for the next year. I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, only the strong will survive, because that is the day that we are living in. It's going to take men and women that know the truth. Here's why. I'm going to show you a video right now of how, if you're armed with truth, no lie can defeat you. The man I'm about to show you is Toto's twin brother. Why? Because this is exactly everything he said is what I would have said. I honestly, I would have quoted the same quotes he quoted. And that man is none other than MAGA Mike, the man that God put out of nowhere in place to prepare the way for Donald Trump's soon return. Listen.
It was the first day that you had been sworn in. It appeared that you were praying on the floor of Congress with a number of other congressmen. And there is a question about the separation of church and state. We often talk on this show about folks, about whether religion should play a role inside a company, whether people should be allowed to pray inside a company. It's one thing to pray outside and to have your faith, and there's a great importance in that. But how do you think about that, and how do you think about the public perception of that?
Listen, faith, our deep religious heritage and tradition, is a big part of what it means to be an American. When the founders set this system up, they wanted a vibrant expression of faith in the public square because they believed that a general moral consensus and virtue was necessary to maintain this grand experiment in self-governance that we created, a government of, by, and for the people. We don't have a king in charge. We don't have a middleman. So we've got to keep morality amongst us so that we have accountability. And so they wanted faith to be a big part of that. The separation of church and state is a misnomer. People misunderstand it. Of course, it comes from a phrase that was in a letter that Jefferson wrote. It's not in the Constitution. And what he was explaining is they did not want the government to encroach upon the church, not that they didn't want principles of faith to have influence on our public life. It was exactly the opposite. Washington said, of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. And John Adams came next and he said, our Constitution is made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. They knew that it would be important to maintain our system. And that's why I think we need more of that. Not an establishment of any national religion, but we need everybody's vibrant expression of faith because it's such an important part of who we are as a nation.
Woo! That's MAGA Mike. He took out a sword called truth and literally eviscerated that poppycock. He literally eviscerated that sophistry of Satan. He literally eviscerated the tomfoolery of fools. With what? Not anger, not violence, a itty bitty thing called truth, because everything he just said was the truth. You need to arm yourself. Don't arm yourself with emotions. Satan's greatest playground is out of control emotions. Never let them get you off of your game. What is your game? Unlike them, your game is truth. Their game is lies. Truth always wins in the end. There's a song that Brother Ronnie Smart wrote, and I love the song. He's dead and gone now. He was a blind evangelist. When I was a little boy, he'd come to my church and sing this song, and it's true today. And it says, it may be a long time coming, but right will win. The battle may be raging, and it feels like you just can't win. Keep your faith strong all the way to the end. It may be a long time coming, but right will win. We always win in the end. So I want to encourage you tonight to know what you believe, know why you believe it, study your arguments, and stick with them, and we will become an army of truth. And here is some truth that I want to share with you tonight. In the first part of 2023, in the first 6 months of 2023, Donald John Trump and his court saved 32,000 unborn children. That's why Satan hates him. 32,000 in the first 6 months. 32,000. My city of Waveland only has about 10,000 people in it. So a city 3 times my size, lives were changed, saved by one man, Donald John Trump. And so for those of you that have something against him because of his stand on abortion, never forget, do not compare Trump to the Almighty. Compare him to the alternative. Always. And you'll vote for Donald Trump every time. Truth is so powerful that sometimes even the demon powers of hell have to acknowledge the truth. Let me give you an example of that. This is exciting. I don't know if you know who Eli Lake is. Eli Lake is anything but a friend to Donald Trump. He hates Donald Trump. He's as far left as they come. And yet this week on his Twitter feed, Eli Lake begins to defend Donald Trump against Letitia James. He says just because you don't like a politician, does it mean that politician should be prosecuted selectively? Trump is a dangerous demagogue, but prosecuting him in such an overtly partisan fashion as Tish James is doing, and notice he tagged her in it so she could see it, threatens our democracy, our republic. She should be shunned. Now, Jonathan Chait responds, I agree that just because you don't like a politician doesn't mean the politician should be prosecuted selectively. And here comes Eli Lake. She campaigned on prosecuting him. You would think this is Professor Toto's Twitter feed, because this is what we've been saying all along, right? Her case is dubious. Duh. Thin, much thinner than Letitia James, absolutely. And unprecedented. She wants to confiscate his fortune because he was trying to make the Forbes list. I don't like Trump, but an elected Democrat is interfering in the Republican primary. You don't see that? And then this other leftist comes back. He's a professional swindler who went into politics, lying, blah, 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 blah. And Eli Lake comes back. I get that you don't like Donald Trump. I don't like him either. But Trump is the political enemy of the Democratic Party. Tish James campaigned on prosecuting him. This is not the fair application of justice. It is the fulfillment of a campaign promise. He said this case is so old and weak and novel that it was rejected by the Manhattan DA. She's asking for a penalty that far exceeds the technical violation. She doesn't claim the lender was harmed. It's an abuse of her power. It's the equivalent of prosecuting Trump for jaywalking. See, that's the power of truth, ladies and gentlemen. When you have the truth, even your enemies will have to acknowledge when that is true. And Eli James, that's exactly what he's doing, is acknowledging that, because we're living in a world of such craziness right now that truth is the missing commodity in our lives. Donald Trump got another major campaign victory today because, once again, what I told you has come to pass. In the state of Rhode Island, in that New England state, guess what happened today? U.S. District Court Chief Judge John McConnell Jr. threw out a lawsuit against Donald Trump about the 14th Amendment. They were trying to take him off the ballot there in Rhode Island. Again, another smackdown. And I told you guys from the beginning, when we were so worried, you were so worried about the 14th Amendment, I proved to you why it would not stand. There's more good news tonight if you're ready for it. The Democrats have lost a major city to the red wave. State Representative William Cogswell is the first Republican mayor, listen to this, of Charleston, South Carolina since 1877. This is the first mayor of Charleston since 1877. And not only that, the people have spoken there, and they are voting in several others from the Republican Party where Republicans have never won before. Do you know why? Because anybody with any sense can see the truth. They can see the handwriting on the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, the only ones that cannot see the handwriting on the wall is the rhinos. They still think they have a chance to beat Donald Trump. And lo and behold, what did we find out today? One of the biggest rhinos of them all, Nikki Haley, has now been endorsed by the Koch brothers. They're back. What happened was they were supposed to put their money behind Mike Pence. But Mike was so badly defeated, they wouldn't even put their money. They promised him they would. But no, there's a lesson you need to learn, Mike. Strange bedfellows. They sleep with other people. And this is what's happened. Nikki Haley has now been financed by the billionaires of the Koch brothers. And so they think they have found them a horse to bet on. But the sad truth of the matter is that horse will fail just like all the others. Speaking of horses, I must show you the biggest horse of them all. And I want you to listen to this horse as he outright lies to every one of us. Watch.
Something we haven't heard before, that you're in this through the convention, the summer.
Yep.
But here's what you told us in July. Listen.
After I lost in New Hampshire 8 years ago, Poppy, I got out.
Yeah.
And I think I wouldn't feel comfortable asking donors for more money or voters for their vote if I didn't see a realistic path to victory.
Then you also told the New York Times in September, if I don't do well in New Hampshire, then I leave. What changed?
Well, nothing's really changed. I just have gone much better in New Hampshire. And so it seems to me that there's no path now that doesn't include me continuing. I'm going to do well in New Hampshire.
What's well?
I think right now I'm in the top 3, and I think I'm going to do even better than that. And so, that's what's changed. What's changed is that we've started to move up in the polls pretty significantly. Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy have dropped significantly in New Hampshire. And so that's what's changed. And so I'm going to continue to keep you guys updated as circumstances change. And circumstances have changed.
So you like the polls right now?
Well, look, I still don't think the polls are really extraordinarily accurate.
All right. Let me break this down for y'all. Okay. He was supposed to drop out of the race, correct? He made a public promise that he would, correct? Okay. But what happened? No, he decided to stay in. Why? The polls. The polls. And then the last thing he said is he don't believe the polls. Dude, really? Boy, that's crazy. Boy, that is insanity is what that is. No, let me tell you why he's still in the race. Big boy is begging. He is fantasizing. He is literally salivating, hoping that Donald Trump will show up to one debate and give him some legitimacy so that he can debate Trump. Don't count on it, buddy. Trump knows your game, and he's playing the game right along with you. Now, I want to talk to you real quickly before tonight's monologue about Hamas. Do you remember whenever the lie was perpetrated on the mainstream media that Israel had blown up a hospital and killed all kinds of people? It was all over the news a few weeks ago. The man that broke that story, you're going to meet him right now. You've got to listen to the insanity of these people. Watch closely.
Hospital not long after dark.
Ya Allah! Ya Allah! Ya Allah!
You can hear the impact.
I've got to ask you about the hospital on the 17th of October.
Al-Akli. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
The BBC was criticised heavily for its reporting of that event. Tell us what happened that night and, bluntly, where were you getting your information and do you regret anything that you said that night?
So it broke in, I suppose, mid-evening. And to answer your question, no, I don't regret one thing in my reporting because I think I was measured throughout. I didn't raise to judgment.
But you said that building had been flattened.
Oh, yeah, well, I got that wrong.
Oh, yeah, I got that part wrong, but I have no regrets for lying on Israel, for turning. That is what started these riots. That is what started these mass protests. The protests are so bad that there is a teacher in New York who is a Jewish lady. On her personal Facebook page, she put a picture of her saying, "I stand with Israel." The next day, 400 students were literally beating down her classroom door. She was scared for her life. This man started all of that, but he has no regrets for that. Now he will explain to you why he has no regrets for these lies.
We have to piece together what we see. And I thought, well, that looks like the whole building's gone. And that was my conclusion from looking at the pictures, and I was wrong on that. But I don't feel particularly bad about that.
I don't feel too bad about that. You know why he don't feel too bad about that? It accomplished what he wanted it to accomplish. They believe Israel is the aggressor. So therefore the story did. The interviewer said, "Where did you get your information?" He said, "Well, they were sending me pictures." So if I want to get a fake news story out, I just create fake pictures and send it to the BBC, and I can literally change the world. That is where we are. That is the evil. They accomplished what they wanted to do. And as far as I can tell, they think they're accomplishing see, when he said he has no regrets, it's because he believed he served the greater good, even with a lie. Because the greater good to them is to destroy Israel. And so we have to learn to discern that these lies are all over the place. And Hamas is winning, guys. Now listen, I'm thankful that some of the hostages have gotten out. Of course I am. But I'm sorry, I don't see things quite the way they do. You're giving us 10, and we give you 150 a day of your terrorists back to rebuild your army. Hamas is winning all around. Now they've got a war that has stopped, and every day they're going to drizzle 10 people back. I'm going to tell you what, you almost sound like Donald Trump now. They're smart people. Oh, yeah. Hamas, much smarter than Israel. Absolutely. So here's the deal. You go in, I tell you what, that's a good plan, actually. You go in, you take hundreds of people, innocent children, women, and you grab them, okay? You suffer a few little attacks for a few days with the plan to give them all back. And so if you've got 400 of our people, or however many they have, and you want 150 of your terrorists, not women and children, you want 150 day of them back. Let's see. We go get 400. That's going to give us what? 400 and 100 for every 10. So if we wind up giving 10 a day, back 40, so we get about 4,000 of our soldiers back. Yeah, boy, I tell you what, Donald Trump would say it, and I'm going to say it. They're smart people. They're winning. Hamas is winning. Israel, whenever you did your ceasefire, you lost the war. Oh, but they're getting hostages back. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be deceived. Hamas is winning. Why? Because of weakness. They have no weakness, but Israel is showing weakness here. Why do you reward terrorists? Why do you reward murderers? Be that as it may, I want to talk to you tonight about the two-party system in America. I believe with all my heart that you are about to see something this year coming, that you've never seen in your lifetime. I believe you are going to see a four-way, maybe even a six-way race for the presidency. Because of one man, Donald Trump, a man that God has raised up to destroy what is destroying America, the two-party system. I want to educate you tonight. I want to take you back to the Constitution, to the Federalist Papers, and I want to explain to you why God is raising up Donald Trump to take a sledgehammer, literally, and destroy forever our two-party system. Because our two-party system has destroyed America, and it has us to the brink of civil war in America. We're at the point now where a two-party system will no longer serve America and keep us at peace with one another. Okay? You need to know that this presidential election, I just read a story before I came on the show tonight about Manchin. They interviewed him today. He's definitely running. All right? We know Jill Stein is definitely running. We know RFK Jr. is definitely running. We know that No Labels is going to throw their woman in there, Liz Cheney. You have never seen what you're about to see. Now, they're literally handing Trump the presidency with this. Why? Because Trump's got 35% that's going to vote for him no matter what. All right? It doesn't matter. So all Trump needs is that 35%. And all these others are eating away at that other portion, which is going to leave Trump in the top position. Why is this happening? First of all, it's the restoration of the republic. Okay? The republic was never intended to have a two-party system. During the early years of the United States, there were no formal political parties. There were no Democrats. There were no Republicans. In fact, James Alexander and Alexander Hamilton despised political parties. They literally decried against them in their Federalist Papers. They did not want the formation of political factions within the government. Now, what did they want? They wanted a plethora of factions, not controlling parties, two parties. They knew that a two-party system eventually would bring the nation to an impasse that no one would be able to break. We're there now because of the two-party system. They wanted a system to where there was a bunch of ideas about America. There was a bunch of philosophies that people would gather around and create a balancing act of all these factions. For example, maybe this party likes donuts and they want donuts to be the official food of America. All right, we'll start the donut party. Okay. Over here, we have the carnivores. They think America should eat carnivore diets. All right, let's start the carnivore party. Over there, we've got the vegetarian. Let's start the vegetarian party. Over here, we've got socialism. All right, believe in socialism. Over there, you've got conservative. It was supposed to be several factions that would balance the voice in our nation out. Now, the Federalists were some of the first political parties, as well as the Democrats and the Whig Party. These parties began to form factions, but they were not supposed to dwindle down to two. That was never supposed to happen. George Washington, when he resigned, he gave a speech, his resignation speech, when he let everyone know he would not be running for a third term. He explained in that speech why he was not going to run for a third term. He set the precedent for 2 terms for a president. In his farewell address, Washington urged Americans not to put their regional and sectional interest above the interest of the nation as a whole. Washington was very concerned about the whole nation. He said these words: "You have in a common cause fought and triumphed together." Washington then followed it up with these words: "The independence and the liberty that you possess are the work of joint counsel and joint efforts and common dangers and common suffering and common successes." According to Washington, one of the chief dangers of letting regional loyalties or ethnic loyalties is another word for it, or religious loyalties, where you get your favorite little thing. Maybe it's abortion, all right? That's your deal. And you could care less about anything else. Then he said, if each party becomes like that, there's no way to govern the nation, okay? And so he said loyalty to the nation, loyalty to that nation would be dominated by your own interests or the development of competing parties. And then all you would care about at that point was your party, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. And even though you knew Donald Trump's message of America First was a message that should unite us all as Americans, you can't even listen to that message now because you're loyal to your party. I want everyone watching me to know that Donald Trump is not a Republican, okay? Yes, he uses that Republican Party. Donald Trump's not a Republican. Donald Trump is MAGA. That's a faction of its own. We're hiding in the Republican Party. But Donald Trump, his party is MAGA. It's that simple. You, as a Republican, loved your nation so much that you were able to look outside of the Republican Party and support Donald Trump. That is what it will take to heal our nation. Yesterday, the founder of Black Lives Matters, the founder, the man that started it all, that man yesterday came out and endorsed Donald John Trump. And he said these words: the brothers, talking about the black man, are waking up. We see that how good we were doing under Donald Trump's opportunity zones. And this man literally endorsed Donald Trump yesterday. Why? Because party loyalty is killing our nations. When Americans vote according to party loyalty rather than the common interest of the nation, against southern border attack, armies, fentanyl coming through is that issue not a national issue that should unite every American? Should not anybody that hears Donald Trump say the words, we've got to fix that border, shouldn't that cause anyone to say, hey, that's not what my Democrat Party is saying, but that's the truth, and that's for the nation. George Washington said that this party loyalty will foster a spirit of revenge. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now in America, revenge. If we get control of the House, we take revenge. They get it, they take revenge. Why? We are at the point now that if somebody does not take a sledgehammer and destroy this stalemate of these two parties, there is nowhere to go but here. Do you understand? That's why you've never seen this many people going to run for president. And it's all a good thing. This is the hand of God to help heal America. Washington referred to this as regionalism. He said it would lead to the formation of political parties. Washington believed that partisanship would open the door to foreign influence and corruption. George Washington predicted that if we ever had a two-party system, that it would lead to foreign influence and corruption. He said that we needed a foreign policy based on neutrality. Who does that sound like? Washington believed America should be neutral and not getting involved in all of these foreign. He said, stay out of Europe's problems. Who does that sound like? It sounds like our president, Donald John Trump. Now, it may seem impossible for you watching me to imagine the U.S. government without its two leading political parties, Democrats and Republicans. But I want to take you back to 1787, right after 1776. The delegates at the Constitutional Convention gathered in Philadelphia to hash out the foundations of their new government. They entirely omitted political parties from the founding documents. That was no accident. The framers of the Constitution desperately wanted to avoid what they had just left. What had they just left? Well, to understand that, you would have to go study the bloody Civil War of the 17th century in Great Britain. They just left civil war. They have just been involved in a nation at a stalemate that could only be stopped by civil war. They saw these factions, as they call them, corrupt the monarchical British system that they wanted to discard. And this is where they came from, civil war. It is the result of a two-party system that plagues a nation. This election is going to be the cure for that problem. Donald Trump is such a disruptor that he is literally going to disrupt our two-party system, and it will die forever. Why? Because for the first time, these other parties will see that their voice affects an election. Oh, no, it won't just be RFK. Oh, no. Manchin will take some of RFK's votes. Jill Stein will take some of all of their votes. And we're going to see how presidential elections were supposed to be run, with voices from all over the nation putting forth their candidate. After the War of 1812, the two-party system came into power. So what does that mean? From 1776 to 1812, that's 100 and some odd years, there was no two-party system in our nation. It happened with the rise of Andrew Jackson's Democratic Party by the 1830s. Then by the 1850s, the Republican Party came along. And then in 1860, they had all fallen into place. I want to read to you quickly from the Federalist Papers, number 10. In an essay written by James Madison as the number 10 of the Federalist Papers, here's what he said, and he released this in 1787 under the name Publius, Federalist number 10. It's among the most highly regarded of all American political writing. Now, this addresses the question of how to reconcile citizens with interests contrary to the rights of others. Now, this is where it gets interesting. He said that the citizens would be more interested in their ideas than allowing others the freedom to have their ideas. That's where we are right now. He said that these factions would work against the public interest and infringe on the rights of others. He questions how to guard against these dangers. In Federalist Paper number 10, it shows an explicit rejection by the founding fathers for democracy and factionalism, and argues that Madison suggests that a representative republic is more effective against the two-party system. The only reason the two-party system has been able to thrive is because the republic and the ideas thereof has fallen away. A republic will protect you from one party controlling the whole nation. If you have several parties that are fighting for the presidency, now you take away the power of one party to control the entire nation. Madison saw the federal Constitution as providing a combination of a republic and a not so direct democracy. And when you understand that 200 years we have had this two-party system, the Democratic Party is the oldest, but it is important to realize that the original Democratic Party stood for centralized government with a powerful executive. The Republican Party was the total opposite. See, back then, the Republicans were like we are today. They're no longer like that anymore. The party of Abraham Lincoln, the Republican Party, was known for championing causes that protecting our economy, individual liberties, the abolishment of slavery. That's right. It was the Republican Party formed to abolish slavery, not the Democrats. They were for slavery. They came to dominate U.S. politics in 1860. It was around this time when we get the elephant and the donkey, around 1860. All that will change in your lifetime. It will change this year for the good. For the good. Democrat Joe Biden is certain to be renominated for a second term. Donald Trump is certain to be nominated. Jill Stein has announced her nomination. Cornel West is running as an independent. Robert Kennedy Jr., no labels. They're all running. Not since 1860 have we had such a splintered contest. 1860, back then Abraham Lincoln won, but he only won with 40% of the vote. Abraham Lincoln won with 40% of the vote. Today, our politics is reminiscent of extreme polarization that dominated U.S. politics in the decade leading up to Abraham Lincoln. Racked by the issue of slavery, the two-party competition between Democrats and the Whigs broke apart. And in 1854, here come the Republican Party. 6 years later, the Whig Party. Now you have four parties keeping a balance in our nation. The two major parties have cemented their hegemony. Single member electoral districts, ballots they have controlled with these two parties. They've had a monopoly. But ladies and gentlemen, the Democratic Party is about to cleave in two. The Republican Party has already cleaved in two. We're back to four parties, maybe six. In 1860, the Atlantic endorsed Abraham Lincoln for president. James Russell Lowell wrote that the government seems an organized scramble. This was right before Lincoln won the presidency. I'm going to show you why Trump's going to win, because we're right back to 1860. We're right back to where everybody believes that the government is an organized scramble, and that the political process has become personal and narrow to a degree never paralleled. That's what was written in an 1860 newspaper. And what did that lead to? The election of Abraham Lincoln. Lowell's words back then have particular relevance as 2024 begins. Our republic is under great stresses as we've not seen ever before. We are at an impasse in our nation. We're at a place where one man, if Donald Trump was not such a polarizing figure, this breaking apart of this two-party system would never happen. But God is going to use him to restore the republic. Right after 2020, God anointed in my mind the phrase, revival of the republic. I traveled all over the United States at Toto rallies. That's what I preached everywhere I went. I didn't preach about voting machines. I didn't preach about any of the rabbit. I preached the message. The message is the revival and the restoration of the republic. To do that, you will have to destroy this two-party hegemony. You will have to eviscerate it at the very root. No one in 200 years has been able to do it. But the sledgehammer is coming, and the lion will roar in 24. Believe it and declare it everywhere you go. The sledgehammer is on the way. Our republic will be restored. I don't care what they tell you. God is not finished with America yet. Believe it, decree it, declare it, and know that help is on the way. And know this, it may be a long time coming, but right always wins. Rest well now. Good night.
If tomorrow all the things were gone I worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I'd thank my lucky stars to be living here today.
'Cause this flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land.
God bless the USA.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea,
From Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA,
where there's